Hello, my name is Wesley Evans, and today I'm going to tell you about the programming language Vala. Vala was conceived by Jurg Billiter to be a language with better build time efficiency than C while keeping the performance of C. Jurg Billiter and Raphael Sandrini finished the first compiler in May 2006 and continued development through 2007 and 2008. A small team of developers continues to develop it today. The syntax is inspired by C#, so it feels like any C-like languages. So there's no white space requirement and curly braces are the delimiter. Here I have a hello world statement just to show what the programming language looks like. In Vala, there are two data types, the value types and the reference types. In Vala, the value types are simple data types like bool, char, int, float, etc. With the value types, each identifier refers to a unique copy of the data. The reference types are types like arrays, strings, and errors. Reference types reference the instances, so multiple variables can refer to the same instance. So a change to the value of one changes the value of the other variable. Vala supports many modern control structures. For selection statements, Vala supports the main if statements, the if statement, the else statement, and the else if statement. It also supports the switch statement, which executes one or none of the two clauses in it. Vala also supports while and do while and for each statements. There are also more control structures that Vala supports, like jump statements, break statements, continue, return, and throw statements. Try statements are also supported as well as with statements. So basically all the modern control structures are supported. Vala uses the runtime type system, G-type, which allows all types in Vala to be identified at runtime. Vala is primarily a static language, but G-type also provides the object model, G-object, which allows for some dynamic features like dynamic arrays. For memory management, Vala automatically uses the reference counting system in glib, so all types must support reference counting for it to work. But Vala also allows for the use of pointers, like in C, but this does lessen some of the safety features. Vala supports multiple paradigms. Vala supports object-oriented programming as its primary paradigm, but it also fully supports imperative programming since it compiles to C. It also supports structured programming concepts like exception handling, conditional statements, and for each loops. Vala also has some functional features like lambda expressions. Vala has very good performance, since Vala programs and libraries are translated into C before they compile, so the performance is very close to C. Vala can also just output the program in C if it is necessary. Again, the runtime efficiency is very similar to C, since it transpiles into C, but it is possibly less optimized than hand-coded C. But Vala has much higher build time efficiency, similar to Python. It is essentially the best between the two worlds of runtime efficiency and build time efficiency, having similar ease of programming to Python, while having similar runtime and performance to C. Overall, Vala is an interesting new programming language with many strengths, but it also has quite a few weaknesses. For the strengths, it has very good performance since it basically has the runtime of C. But it also has the ease of coding of languages like Python, with many modern features. One of the weaknesses of Vala is that it is a new language that is still being optimized and developed and still has some issues and bugs, like where static members do not get initialized, so you have to manually do it. It also has a more limited scope. It is mainly useful in the GNOME and GTK ecosystems, being used for most of the GNOME apps now. What's in the future of Vala? Well, it's a great alternative to C for GNOME and GTK applications. It's already being used in some of the GNOME apps, like the Photo Manager, but its scope is limited, and it doesn't have room for a lot of adoption outside GNOME. Overall, Vala is an interesting programming language, since it has both runtime and build time efficiency, but its relatively niche use case means that it probably will not be widely adopted beyond the, in the scheme of things, limited GNOME and GTK applications. Here are my references I used for this presentation. Overall, I used the knowledge and things about programming languages from the class, and really it taught me a lot about the behind the scenes of how programming languages work, and the control structures and things, and how memory is managed and how that impacts other parts and how you have to program. And it really just made sense of different programming languages and will be a great tool in moving to other programming languages and when learning new programming languages, because if it has a similar structure in the background, the programming languages really can be much easier to transition between. But it also just gives a generally better time learning programming languages, since once you know how programming languages work, then you can use that to affect what you're doing. Anyway, thank you for watching this presentation.